All right, we're going live. I'm putting it up. I think. Yes. And we should be up. There it goes.
We're live. Happy Saturday, everybody. We're prepared for all that's going on around us. And just we just wanted to take precautions in today's day and age and that are equal to what's being recommended. Welcome. How you doing, Annie?
I'm good. This is the only mask I will wear. I'm very mad about it this week. I have to yell about it.
Yeah, I don't know how long to leave it on to give everybody a true perception of whether a 2.5 micron virus has more difficult time going through this than what everyone else is wearing otherwise. It goes right through it. I have a book that you just can't get anymore. It's like one of my favorite books ever. And it was given to me because I found it and mentioned it to somebody, and then somebody who really means a lot to me gave it to me. And it was by Ron Hembree, Hembree, and it's A Personal Word from Your Father. This book is just amazing for people who are, what Ron did is he basically just broke down emotions, feelings, when you feel angry, when you feel depressed, when you feel whatever. And then he just pulled out Bible verses that speak. Today I just opened it up, and I like to do that and see where things just lead. And Psalm 35, for his anger is but a moment. His favor is for life. Weeping may endure for a night, but joy comes in the morning. Right now that's just something that I'm holding on to, all the crap that I've dealt with this summer. You got to look forward to the joy of the Lord. Let it, get you through. And it makes a huge difference. Hey, Annie, where are you? I don't see you at your computer. And I'm
in here. I'm trying to share our link out on Facebook, and it says that our video is restricted. This is wonderful. New updates from YouTube.
New updates. The video is restricted. It must be approved for you to view it. Guess what? We cannot post our videos on Facebook now.
Because the account I'm sharing from is not logged into any account. So you have to subscribe to you, I guess, now to be able to view it.
We learn every day. Little things that we're trying. I mean, that doctor is unstable popping up on my screen. So let me go and just check and see where I am. I'm on the link. I'm going to troubleshoot this real quick. And network. And I am going to grab right there. And I won't drop off of it. So anyway, naturopathic doctor, pharmacist, what do we talk about on this show? Health. We want you to understand there's an aspect of health care that's not the presumed health care that you're getting traditionally. So I am going to, step up my right to not wear a face covering I'm done with and go here and want to just talk a little bit about today about a few things. Beforehand, I want you guys to just see Annie's face, and I'm going to have Annie take a message and say hello, and then she's going to share a shot, give me a cheers on a little herbal thing that I mixed up for her this morning. Terrible. I love doing this because today it's nice and green. It's got a different color than she's probably ever looked at.
Why is it green? What? This is going to be terrible. Oh, sorry. There we go. Bottoms up. Cheers, Doc. Oh. Yeah, no, that was really bad. Oh. I'm awake now.
Wasn't that good? So, people, herbs. I want to talk a little bit about herbs today. One of the things that we can put on our notes that we can talk about is called the Hierarchy of Therapeutics. How you like that? And so we're trying to figure out on these shows, do I just come out here and jab with you guys and talk, or do we try to come in with some ready format? But my life's so crazy, putting together something 15 minutes before the show is sometimes hard to do. So, but believe me, I think I could just talk to you about whatever concepts you are asking about, particularly when you guys fill in the chat. So if you guys are chatting and giving us some information, that's one of the best ways to during the show. And Annie will bring those up, and we'll talk about those questions, numbers, and things like that might pop up. I need to get onto that because I don't have it open. And then I can turn around and
It's mostly just everyone saying good morning. No numbers or anything posted yet.
Oh, right.
If anybody has any, put them in there.
Now I'm live. Hey, good. I'm live. So, yeah. So Diane, hey, we got to thank Diane for this awesome mask that we started the show with. She was a visitor.
That's awesome.
So Diane, I gave one to Annie, so now she feels that she can securely go shopping again because
I won't get harassed for not wearing my mask.
Yep. Marty, good morning. Betty made it. Good morning, Betty. Jackie, Leah, Diana Weiss, good morning. Connie, good morning. Good. So, again, always ask for those dark blue thumbs up whenever you're doing these. Everybody, I'm asking you to do that. That's supposed to help with the algorithms that are supposed to help these shows be seen. But for some reason, just like this morning, our show, we were linking it to Facebook, and Facebook says it's an illegal video. It needs to be reviewed or approved before it can go on.
It did allow the link. I'm trying to share it into a couple groups, so we'll see if it shows up or not.
Oh, good. Where is my cup of coffee?
Probably.
Annie, where did I put my cup of coffee?
Probably by the sink. I don't think you grabbed it.
Okay.
I'll be by in a second. Never mind. He'll just
look at that. How can I go without my Snoop cut, guys? Come on. And so, we all have these vices, and I'll be turning around, and if we talk about practical RBTI, it's really funny because when we do these retreats, we do put coffee out, and we do have some things, but we talk about what's realistic. When we're talking about practical RBTI or Ream's biological theory of ionization, or how to eat based upon your chemistry, we're really we're trying to basic understanding. Sugar regulation helps you understand how much your water, your hydration, and how much if you're drinking enough or eating the wrong foods. And then the pH of the urine primarily is tell you what range you're falling in and what foods you need to choose. Other than something that I threw in the mix from a naturopathic perspective is number one, stay away from food sensitivities or what your body, it's an intolerance, because to me, it's a measurable negative energy food. You eat a food and next thing you know, your numbers go wonky away from the ideal. And therefore you have energy loss, so total basics of, the mathematical approach of using your numbers is that if those numbers move towards ideal, you have improved energy. So, if you really want to start getting into it and you're a mathematician, you can look at the scales of each one of the variables, and then you can turn around and based upon the scales from how far away from ideal is, so if you have a perfect equation and which values are the furthest away from ideal, then you're knowing where your energy losses are occurring, or where your inefficiency is and where you need to give your support. That's the whole basis. And I've talked about this 1,000 times, and nobody's ever put it in the perspectives that I've looked and from what I've read of RBTI. But the bricks, is giving you an idea of your blood, oxygenation, your ability of those, because it's the total dissolved solids and or kind of the specific gravity and kind of what's in there and it correlates with the salts, and the salts is the thickness of body fluids. And so if the bricks is too high, the salts will be high, so your blood gets thick and agglutinates. If the bricks is too low and your salts are too low, you have an anemic state in many cases. Go and read the article that I posted in Naturopathic Doctor News and Review. You can find it at Doc Misak. I did a case study for the bioelectric chemistry model, and I basically told the guy what labs to order and which variables, what labs would be negative or have problems. You're going to be anemic. You're going to have a thyroid disorder. Your liver function is going to be out of normal, and it was exactly what you would expect if you understand what these numbers are telling you. And so when you're looking at what to drink and what to eat, we had a guy on last week, and you've got to watch Philip's testimony last week, because Philip is a diligent individual who can follow the rules. And unfortunately, when I'm talking about practicality, is Reams, who taught this mathematically. He was all about rules and rhythmically how you eat, drink, when you eat, when you drink, exercise or whatever, but based upon energy efficiency. It was logical thinking. But the idea is, when you put the practical aspect of people being on a every half hour drinking thing, and then they don't understand the concepts of food allergies or sensitivity in the numbers, which it's something that I have completely made an observation of, that you always see a pattern. I've taught the pattern 100 times, that when you see this happening, you are eating a food that your body can't break down. It's burning up too hot. And so I have where was I have the articles that kind of are putting this together, and one of the things that I wanted to talk about today was a hierarchy of therapeutics, when and how you consider naturopathic medicine. I wanted to bring some numbers to the point, put some numbers up today of some that I came across. And then I also, I wanted to talk about the cost of healthcare, and that was kind of the key point today is, when you're looking at the cost of healthcare, I don't know how many of you pay an ungodly amount every month for a insurance premium that some of you probably don't even use. But if you don't pay it, then you have to pay the government a tax or a fine because of it, which I don't completely agree with. If you go have something happen and you have to use that insurance, and you go for, say, oh my God, I might have a kidney stone, you get a CT scan, you get an evaluation by somebody, they run some basic standard labs, and the time that they charge you, and the things that they charge you for going to the emergency room because you're in so much pain that you don't think that you can walk, and next thing you know, you get a $5,000 bill for a half a day of somebody doing an evaluation, a $2,000 CT scan, or $1,800, and thank God we have insurance. If how many of us can afford the insurance that pays for everything versus having a massive deductible? So is that the cost of healthcare? Why is it so expensive? Number one, it's so expensive because of what they're not only covering cost of operations, but then also the cost of the pharmaceuticals. So what is the cost of pharmaceuticals? I'm going to not talk about money at all, but what do those drugs do to your body, people? That's huge. I mean, there were books when I was in pharmacy school, particularly when I was in naturopathic school, not a single book existed on the interaction of drugs, nutrients, and herbs. Did not exist. So I actually had a group of people when I was in naturopathic medical school working at Lloyd Center Pharmacy, premier compounding pharmacy. Had another pharmacist there by the name of John, who he just super incredibly smart guy. And we started working on monographs to teach the basics of where things have been identified of what drugs go through certain liver pathways and what herbs can affect those pathways. So what they did know of herbs, like herbal monographs looking at interactions of what they did in the body, you could presuppose that the potential interaction with the medication. Well, they don't. That's what everybody was worried about. How are these herbs going to affect my drugs? Well, how do the drugs affect your body? That's something everybody should be asking, because how many of you watch those commercials on television? Hey, take this, happy people smiling. I got my life back. If you have signs of anemia, blood loss, or any type of inability to focus and feel like you're dying, then that's maybe a potential side effect, and you should really consider talking to your doctor about such things. You know, and you listen to, you know, can cause cancers, can cause autoimmune conditions. And is that medication really worth the risk compared to the illness or disease that I have? Is it a disease? That's the big question, you know, or is it just a imbalance? Oh, let's do Chinese medicine. Let's all about energy flow, people, you know, and let's do some energy flow, right? Ooh, right. And everything's about, is it moving evenly? And am I balanced? Is my chi, and my yin and yang on equal attributes? And where it's imbalanced, I have dampness or I have heat, or, you know, and looking at the movement of how things can affect. Although there's tremendous benefits with Chinese medicine, it is about balance, people, because everything about your body chemically works towards what's called an equilibrium and a balance. It has to go that way. Based upon what I'm dealing with, I'm going to equalize everything out as well as I can. And so you're looking, the thickness of those body fluids deals with that. So there's so many ways we could go into this. So when I talked about, you know, looking at a set of numbers, and if you monitor, talking about Philip, and if you're able to monitor your bricks and your pHs, it tells you so much about what your diet is doing for you. Start there. You got to start somewhere. Wow, this Herbals getting to my throat a little bit. How you feeling there, Annie?
I feel good. It woke me up, that's for sure.
Okay, so watch last week's show. You know, Philip is just somebody who is doing what he needed to do, and he is seeing the benefits of it, but it's cause and effect. It's cause and effect. It's what you're eating dictates what's happening in that chemistry, and that chemistry, as it moves towards ideal, basic, you improve energy. As it moves away from ideal, and based upon which variable is the furthest away from ideal, usually tells where the most energy loss is occurring. It, you know, you can identify where you need your support the most. But the basics are, if you learn to watch and understand what food is doing with your bricks and your pH, you will learn energy regulation in your body and saying, oh my God, I'm eating too much, or I'm not eating enough. You know, I do not drink enough water, yeah, or whatever. It's going to give you a perspective that you just don't have unless you're completely self-aware. Let's go back to Chinese medicine. Let's get balanced, you know. And so that is so important, people. Meditation and all those other things, you know, meditation, prayer, focus. You know, if you have something that's on your body that feels like it's wrong, you know, why is historically our hands been used, prayer and putting hands on? Because energetically, this is where points come out. Rub your hands and don't touch them. Can you feel a bubble in there? It's all energy, you know. And so what I'm trying to do is connect all this crap for you. You know, you can turn around and get an understanding what Dr. Carrie Reams explained with body ionization, that if your liver, after your liver utilizes as a nuclear power horse, boy, that licorice or something is right there. So hold on.
Yeah, I've drank half my water already.
Yeah. So, you know, what's going on is that chemistry is telling you where you are and what in relation to the world around you. So the cost of prescriptions, you know, these books, you know, there was one that literally written by none other than pharmacists. This one is Ross Pelton and James Laval. And this is probably in the just over probably early 2000s, because that's it. Wow, copyright 2000, because all of a sudden they started looking like, oh my God, people are taking herbs, and more than, you know, 80% of them don't tell their doctors, and more than 40% of people are using herbs and vitamins and they don't even tell their doctor about it. We have to stop that and tell you that if you take your herbs, they'll interact with your medications. Seriously. So, but they also started to look at nutritional depletions. Hey, I take this drug and it affects my acid levels, so I'm not ionizing my minerals, and I'm depleting magnesium, calcium, zinc, selenium. It affects other cellular processes, CoQ10, on mitochondrial energy. And so they also started coming out with these aspects of, nutrient depletion. And so now so I was the pharmacist that back in around 2005 to 2008, when I finally could get out of it, because I was able to at least support paying off my bills by running a practice. It took me years to do that. And I was the pharmacist that when I was handing you your medication, I was just like, I don't know if you're aware, but this drug can affect your nutritional levels of this, and this. And I go in and I'd float from one pharmacy to the next. And then managers would say, can you choose our store and just work at our store? Our nutritional sales went up to over $1,000 today. That never happens. The guys were totally like, we want you in our store. Why? Because I was just trying to protect you. So when you're looking at, if you're taking prescription medications, I guarantee you there's a Dr. Google response out there of what nutrients are depleted by my medication. At least do that. At least do that, because you are depleted in minerals. Everything comes down to depletion. It's basically, you either have excess or you have deficiency. And if you have excess, think about it, and you got some toxin in you that you've been exposed to, or tons of them from what you're putting on your skin and breathing and bathing in, and what's on our foods, what's in our foods, which ones are genetically modified. Let's think about the world around us in phase one: pure air, pure food, pure water, EMF protection. What are these electrochemically doing to us? But when you look at the total load on your body, at least if you're on, the question is, if your body can't handle that excess and it's getting some type of physical symptom, that's because it's missing something in order to handle it, because your body is an efficient nuclear machine to be as healthy as it possibly can be, based upon the environment that you create for your body with what you're eating and the environment that you are in. Isn't that hardcore? Who wants to be responsible for themselves? Hey, FDA's taking care of me. I've got a Department of Agriculture that's keeping track on what they're putting on my food, so it's all safe.
Hilarious.
Right? All these body care products, they've been tested on animals. Oh, no, they don't, all of them. That's good. But those chemicals are great to put on my skin. Oh.
Well, the box is pretty. It looks like it's from a farm, and it's,
People, you are a product of your environment. Your body is about balance. It's about chemistry balance. And in order for your body to process the things that you're putting on it, in it, and whatever else, you have to generate more energy from your food than you are using. Measure it. Sum of the story. Done. Is that our show for today? Oh my God. Are you guys getting tired of me? I better check and see. Hold on. Oh my God. There's like 1,000 messages here.
Well, someone.
Good morning, Bernie, Mary. Good morning, Jackie. Thank you for the card, Jackie. I'm not going to cry right now, though. I did then. Mashembe Bay. I love that. Carolyn, good morning. Leah, does the water in coffee count as part of your daily water requirement? Yeah, but the caffeine also will deplete you a little faster. So yes, I mean, I'd be a hypocrite if I told you not to have coffee. So when I talk about practical RBTI, you got to love it on the last day. We'll eat the desserts for breakfast, or we'll shoot down coffee and we'll say, okay, here's practical RBTI. If you guys really want to know what it does to you, go check your numbers and watch how many days it takes before you're back to normal. And so, but you can learn.
Stop.
Okay.
That then. What is wrong
Well,
with you?
I know. Well, yeah, but if you notice when I go back, I've got certain pills that I go and I pull off the shelf back there.
Every time, yeah.
Let me I'm using more of this right now, so I'm going to take more of this. And that's the pharmacist in me. That's not the herbalist who says we can get all of this from our food. You just have to eat bricks, and it's all good. It comes straight from nature. Stop laughing at me, Annie. Let's see. When is your book coming out? As soon as Annie gets done, not and I help.
Moves right on, doesn't let me comment. Soon. Very soon.
Sorry, I'm late. Indy Paul's. Paul, is that Paulus? Indy Paulus. Hey Betty, Connie, our son had 2 emergency surgeries for bleeding in his brain. Distilled water is helping him to heal, which it will. If he had bleeding in his brain, he's got mineral deficiencies and collagen. So mineral deficiencies mean that the college, there's a vitamin C. There's a direct correlation with energy utilization of vitamin C. And I did a show on vitamin C a long time ago. And so when you are having bleeding and your blood vessels are bursting, number one, you got to see copper deficiency can be associated with that. But also the collagen is breaking down. And so therefore, that there's something going on when you have that loss of integrity of the tissues. Has to have calcium in it. So there's a calcium misutilization because calcium regulates all of them. I could run off on the science behind all this, but distilled water is going to help flush that stuff out. Depending on the degree of severity of what happened, it may be appropriate for him to be on something that is affecting that blood circulation and minerals to help. You got to do the basics of the numbers with his urine to give him the ability to restore. So, you can't build healthy tissues from crap DNA. Okay. And how does your DNA become crap? Because you become so depleted that you don't have the mineral and energy necessary to what's needed for that DNA to replicate in its most healthy fashion. We could go into telomeres and talk about vitalometry. There's so many people. I don't know why I have in my head that I have in my head. I'm sorry about your son. That really sucks. But for bleeding in the brain, there's a serious deficiency there. And that is somebody that, I can't say that I trust the medical establishment, but I look at the medications that are out there, and I want you to tell me one drug that'll fix bleeding in the brain. Let me put you on Eliquis because it's so stinking expensive. And in order for you to actually reverse the effects of it, if you're bleeding from it, it's another $2,000 drug that we have to inject into you. Not taking warfarin, which is rat poison that's been used for 50 years, but yet we can control it and watch it and stop it with some vitamin K if there's a concern and have some control over the medication. Dang, I love healthcare. But there's really nothing, unfortunately, for modern medicine to help with bleeding in the brain. They're just going to give fluids and try to help flush it out. There's a lot in natural medicine that can help with clearing that up, with enzyme activity, reducing inflammation, increasing the integrity of the blood vessels, clearing up the blood so it stops agglutinating because of it's getting too damn thick. That's where I get passionate, is because you can see when you understand the basics of what the body's doing that, okay, yeah, you're sick. You're a hot mess. I can look at your numbers and say you feel like crap every single day. Right? But what about when we bring it back to say, guess what? You're the one that's creating the environment that your body has gone into this, whether it be under your control or not, based upon what you're working in, what you're breathing, how many, bleeding in the brain as he had mold exposure. Go watch that show. Toxic mold traverses across the nerves. It's been shown on SPECT scan to make brains look like Alzheimer's, breaking down collagen, shriveling it up, just neurological, neurodegenerative disorders. But yet we can get spore illness from getting mold exposure, but we don't think about mycotoxins, even though they stay in the body and recirculate continually. And if you try to kill the mold, it produces more, so it perpetuates. Nasty stuff, people. But let's go to why. I'm so sorry about your son. Distilled water definitely is needed. But I hope that you're able to run his numbers. And I'm sorry if I seem a little on the curt side. Drug side effects are treated with more drugs. Yes, they most certainly are. Betty, you have a following today. Everyone's saying good morning to Betty. Good morning, Betty. Good morning, Betty. We should just start sending Betty links, and then when she's ready, she can just jump in and text her the meeting minutes. And so, if you want to jump in on the show, you could do that. Let's see. Diana bought an ozone machine. Awesome. How many ounces would you recommend per day to drink? That I have not looked at, Diane. I know when you're making the water, what I would do is look up Bob Beck. Okay, so when you're looking up people who historically, first you had Hulda Clark, who came out the cure of all illnesses, and she explained things moving through the body, liver getting congestion of fluids. I've got to talk to you guys about distill water and show you with the foundation of the Mayo Clinic. Mayo himself says one of the ways to get sick is drinking hard water, mineralized crappy water that goes in and clogs up your congestion in your lymphatics and is a core basis of disease. And the American Medical Association says you should not try to get minerals out of water. You're supposed to get your minerals out of food. Well, damn, let's talk about mineral depletion of our soils. Where's the issue, people? Where do you want to take this to? Hey, what do I take, Doc? I have this going on.
Everybody should watch The Need to Grow if you haven't. It's about our soil and how to restore it. It blew my mind. I don't know. It came out a couple years ago. Brilliant guys.
Oh, cool. Yeah.
They could provide free energy to everybody. It could change.
Well, now you got to show that to me. I haven't seen that yet.
You should watch it.
So Diana, with the ozone, because of sinus issues, that ear insufflation is really good to do. Bubbling through there, and ear insufflation will go, and if it will get absorbed through the membranes and get into your sinuses. And so if you've had mold exposure, it's in there. And so ear insufflation you do between 1 to 5 minutes. If you start tasting the ozone going down the back of your throat and the potential of getting it into the lungs, then you're getting too much because it does irritate and oxidize those tissues. So once you're at that point, turn it off. So you can start, if it starts at 1 minute, fine. But you typically start 1 to 5 minutes, 1 to 3 times a week on the ears to where you're building up a tolerance, and you can go up to 15 minutes daily with the ear insufflation, where you're just bubbling ozone through your sinuses. And so as far as what to drink, the person who put that in perspective was Bob Beck. Hulda Clark came out with the cure of all illnesses, and she brought Rife therapy back, but she brought it back in a zapper by running generalized frequencies that Rife identified and harmonically introducing them to the body through zappers, or these zappers being on a frequency that generally just irritated and helped kill parasites. And then working on cleansing with, whether it be SEACT or the liver and lymphatics and herbs and stuff like that. So let's clean the body out, and then let's zap and kill the bugs, which, I could zapper on a daily basis. And I think he brings colloidal silver into the picture. Hey, let's kill the bugs. Let's kill the bugs. Let's kill the bugs. And killing the bugs is great, there's books out there on, on whatever bug it may be, even Lyme, but the whole thing is you have to support the immune system and why you're susceptible, so if somebody gets this, coronavirus, what do you do? Right? Well, I put them on a zapper, a static generator. I give them a homeopathic specifically for it, and I boost their immune system, and I do something that'll kill a virus. I suggest colloidal silver. I've had several clients who were feeling that their people in their house got COVID, and within 3 days of taking the stuff that I suggested, symptoms for the most part gone. And they felt that but then I'm like, well, don't stop it, keep carrying on because of the exposure time and whatever else. But Bob, Bob Beck again is going to give you how much ozonated water to drink. I know in order to make it, you have to bubble it you should have got a video, but you have to bubble for every 8 ounces of water, you bubble it for 12 minutes and to make a standard concentration. So anyway, I think the metformin I take is interfering with my numbers. Hell yeah, metformin that you're taking is interfering with your numbers. Yeah. And so the thing is as you really start to work with your numbers and your drinking water and your sugar regulation starts to improve, metformin's going to screw with your body too, metabolically and chemically. Metformin can cause severe muscle cramping and muscle related issues because of how it's affecting your mineralization. And so metformin is a medication that as you get sugar control, yeah, it's one that you can actually just quit, when you're looking at it from that standpoint. So if they think you're having a side effect of metformin, infecting mitochondria and energy and all these crappy things, stop that. Let me give you this one, glipizide instead. Oh, these don't work. Let's go to the injections. And unfortunately, the fact that medications are chosen based upon the drug rep telling them and convincing them that they need to use their drug versus the one that they've been using for 20 years. That's what screws my mind. Let me send a salesman in and tell you why to use my drug, because we're going to educate you on why our drug is good, because we show you the real science of the we want to present, because all of it we don't present. Look at the information that's come out about Prozac and stuff years after it was gotten on the market, and had those research studies been available when they were done and buried, guess what? Never would have made the market. But now it's needed. Love the healthcare system. Good morning, Earth Garden Living. Jackie, hello. Here are my numbers after breakfast. 69-year-old, 5.5 foot female, 0.8, 7.4, 6.8, 6.7, 4M, 0 over 5. Jackie,
it looks
you
like
got
she says 1 over 5.
1 over 5? Okay. Jackie, you have some issues, young lady. I'm assuming that you've got a lot going on. Headaches, thyroid disorder, more than likely overweight. You've got something going on in your brain, young lady. And I don't know what you've had checked out. Left
73 pounds.
So right side of your brain, I don't know, you get headaches, specific headaches. When I see numbers like this, you have got to learn sugar regulation, and you got to get that sugar up. And that 7, your pHs are so sluggish, you probably have parasites.
She said no. She said no to headaches.
Good. But you're going to have respiratory conditions. You're going to have thyroid conditions. You're going to have sinus conditions. You probably have parasites. New to RBTI, you need to find somebody to help you with these numbers, because that's more than what we can do on this show. Those are, I'm hoping that you're working with somebody if you're running your numbers like that. And I would want to see some lab work with that. But you at some point you're going to have to flush that liver out. You can't fast because your sugars and your nitrates are so low. You don't have a strong enough, magnetism to do it. You just don't have the energy to do what you need to do. And it's moving so slow, you're auto intoxicating. So you could start doing some colonics, but I'd be eating something right before you go in, because those colonics are going to lower your sugars, and you have to experiment with what sugars you're doing. I like coconut sugar and agave tend to work best for me, and getting that sugar up and regulated. You have to find something measuring that Brix every time you pee, of whether you're drinking too much water or eating a sugar that's crashing you out. But those are, you would need to be in a retreat based upon those. And because retreats really are not available, there are a couple that people who do them out of their house that would never want that mention of who they are on the internet, because they're scared for their life, that they're going to get shut down for helping people. But you have got to figure out what will bring that Brix value up. And your liver's so congested, you're not digesting. So you're not going to sleep. You're just gonna be crashing tired. Your kidneys are stressed. You're holding water weight. You're going to be overweight. You're going to see thyroid disorders. I'm concerned about your brain. Those are numbers that suggest your brain's being affected. And so you got to figure out, there's a lot of, I'd want to look at your blood. I'd want to do electrodermal screening. I might even want to do an organic acid test in you. If you did parasite testing with Para Wellness, Dr. Raphael D'Angelo, I did a podcast with him back in 2014. That's on my Pittsburgh Alternative Health show. Oh my God. Pittsburgh Alternative Health website. There's a bunch of podcasts on there. Actually, on Doc Misak, DocMisak.com, DocMisak.com, you can go to media and all my podcasts are there. But yeah, Jackie, you, I hope, are working with somebody. Thanks for the Vitalometry fall special. Yes, we're having a Vitalometry fall special, which I don't even know the code for. Isn't that sad? Where you can get a case of the small bottles of Vitalometry for, I think everything was like $180. So that's 12 boxes of 30 count. So you're getting 360 pills for about $180. So if you calculate that out compared to what you're regular getting, then it's a really good deal. And the reason being is we're just trying to get near the end of the year end. Taxes, don't we love them, are based upon inventory. So I don't want a bunch of inventory to show that I'm growing and just give my money away that I'm barely making in the first place to this wonderful government that's hopefully going to fix itself a little bit. Oops, ureas are 1/5 on 3 blood pressure medications. One is oh my God. Of course you have tremors. You have something neurological, and whether you're having headaches or not, there's something going on in your head. We have got to get those sugars regulated and see if, I would just load up on vitamin C, go get some colonics for certain, and get that pH down, get that Brix up, and then see how those nitrates respond. Because at some point, once you start getting those first two, that Brix and that urine pH to fall in line, everything's going to follow. So I don't know what you're taking, whether you need cal lactate, cal phosphate, which is Mencol. You need vitamin C, lots of it. I wouldn't care if you were taking, 6, 8, 10 grams a day, and see if it'll bring that pH down, because you have a tremendous amount of oxidative stress, and you're getting microbial imbalances. And I don't know why I see in the numbers what I see, and I'm trying to help you guys understand. And so, and I don't want it to sound cold sometimes, and sometimes I just say it the way that I see it,
She said, thank you. I'm working with someone. Tremors are genetic. Taking Mencol. Thank you.
Genes are expressed based upon a failure in the turnover of the telomeres based upon stress, and stress is what dictates your load. I've seen DNA go back to normal. I had a client who did somewhere back on one of my old shows when I was on Patriot Soapbox or with 412 and on with Adel. I had an interview. I think it was with Adel, and I had an interview with a young lady who had leukemia or has leukemia. And I've talked about her multiple times. And when we first got her leukemia to go in remission, and then she got it back 2 weeks later, it was gone, and her doctors couldn't explain it. 2 weeks. And not only was it gone, But when they did the DNA test to show the genetic part to convince her for doing chemo, the genetic expression went to normal too.
Wow.
And was not showing as an active gene. How'd that happen?
It's awesome.
Thank you, Carolyn. Thank you.
We're God's greatest creation, right? We're incredible.
So Connie, he had been in a car accident and the hospital didn't detect any problems immediately after the accident. Oh my God, I'm sorry. Oh, at least, so still the integrity of the blood vessels is there, but that's traumatic. Go get homeopathic arnica and homeopathic nat sulf, N-A-T sulf, S-U-L-P-H. Homeopathic arnica is for trauma, and you can, highest potency you can get. I don't know if you can get like a 200C, which is called a constitutional potency. But arnica will speed the healing, particularly bruising and traumatic related experiences, and particularly head injuries. So it's homeopathic. It's not going to interact with anything. And then nat sulf is another remedy that's specific for trauma to the brain. And so, but nat sulf, from a cell salt perspective, has been shown. Cell salts are beautiful. I should talk about cell salts sometime. Cell salts are 12 basic tissue salts identified in the early 1900s. And even in our Constitution in 1931, were mentioned that if you're utilizing cell salts, that it's, you're not practicing medicine without a license. That's another thing we could talk about, constitutional, right? Dang, there's so many subjects, and why can't we come up with it until 5 minutes before the show? But
that's half the problem. I'm like, oh, here's what happened this week. I don't want to talk about any of it. It's terrible.
So Connie, go get homeopathic arnica, and if you only find like a 30C, have him take it at least 3 to 5 times a day away from things. It won't interact with any of the medications, but it will speed. Homeopathics work on an energy level that vibrationally is telling the body to go through a specific healing. Nat sulf helps the cells to eliminate waste and helps that process of getting rid of waste. So he's going to have stored waste around his blood, because if there's protein in that blood elements where it's outside where it's supposed to be, then something has to get rid of that. The lymphatics have to absorb it or back into the blood, and it's getting broken down with immune activity to disintegrate and get it transported back out of the body so your body can get rid of those bad cells. Homeopathics work by energetically telling the body vibrationally to start the healing process, and arnica is specific for traumatic-based issues and bruising, and nat sulf is specific for helping to stimulate the body and the liver to process and eliminate its waste, and specific for after-head related traumas. So that's something that not going to interact with anything that they're giving you, that they should have no concerns about whatsoever. Sorry to hear about that. The K. Elmer YouTube channel has great videos for understanding Bob Beck protocol in a very practical way. Thank you. And that'll give some aspects of ozone. Ozone, again, a non-FDA approved medical, treatment per se. And so ozone is something that we might talk about one day. Water that is not pure does not count towards your daily water needs. Okay.
Thank you, Betty. Stop drinking coffee, okay. Doc.
I make my coffee with distilled water, thank you.
Yeah, well.
Let's ask Betty about coffee. Betty, would you like to comment on coffee or red coffee pots? My sugar is under control. Doctor wants me to keep me on metformin for a little while. I'd like to just stop it myself. If your sugar's under control, does that mean your Brix is under control? And does that mean your blood sugars are under control? Because, chromium plays a role in blood sugar utilization in the body. Vanadium, these are trace minerals. Chromium, you can take about 200 micrograms a day. Vanadium or vanadilyl sulfate, you can take about 7.5 micrograms a day. And those are minerals that are specifically involved in your body's processes of regulating sugars. Wow, minerals are involved with our sugars? Interesting. Just do what Betty tells you to do and juice green beans. Drink some green bean juice every day. That's what her dad would say. Right, Betty?
She backed up your coffee. She answered.
Jackie, any chance of having vitalometry for pets? Well, isn't it funny that you would ask that, because
how nice.
My office manager just submitted to have a company make me bottles of canine telemetry, and we are all putting everything in front of Andy to get all the labels done.
Yep, design's almost ready.
So
it's exciting. And my dog has been taking it, and he's a 10-year-old German Shorthair, and he's irritating now because at 1 a.m. he's like, "Let's go play! Yay!" He's absolutely nuts, but he runs around like a little kid. He had a lame left leg that would give him issues, and now he's finally using both legs when he runs, and he'll do these really funny like puppy spins when he's all excited. Like when I come home, he's, "Yay, run around," but he leads with his butt. So it's really funny, but he's doing that again out of nowhere. So he's like reverting back to his puppy days, I say. So I think it's wonderful. That's my review.
Sounds good. Yeah, you need more than men call, Jackie. I would love to learn more about cell salts. If you want to learn more about cell salts, you have got to get this book. And it's not called this anymore. It is Natural Healing with Cell Salts by Sky Weintraub. Okay. And so Dr. Sky Weintraub put out a book. I sell it in my office. I think it's $14 or something for a copy. I don't know. It used to be, like $12 or $13.95. I don't know if the book price went up, but we keep that book, and then we keep all 12 cell salts, because the very first section of that book explains each cell salt and the applications of that cell salt. Calc fluor is for hardened indurated tissues. Nat Mur is for water balance. Silicas promote excretion of waste of the cells. Calc phos, which is one of the primary cell salts used for tissue restoration and building healthy cells. Well, that's funny, because Reams taught that you have to have a phosphate group as part of your amino acid complex that goes to transformer glands, which are where acupuncture points are, to lay down and build new healthy cells, whereas cell salts were used for calc phos for building healthy cells. Interesting. I mean, so the 12 cells, so that book, we sell it in our office. The first few pages describe each cell salt, and then it does what's called a repertory. A repertory is where you look up your symptom, palpitations, and then it says, okay, with anxiety, then you use calc phos or Nat Mur. Palpitations that are cardiac mediated, use mag phos, because magnesium phosphate relaxes the smooth muscle and calms down the cardiovascular aspect. So cell salts are not an aspect of RBTI, but I will tell you, they will change the numbers, just like your metformin is, but in a healthy way. So you can use cell salts liberally. They're homeopathic. They're not quite homeopathic. They're a 3x dilution or a 6x dilution. So there's still measurable amounts of those in there, but those trace amounts are telling the body, and you dissolve them under your tongue. So therefore they're colloidal, because they're getting absorbed directly into the bloodstream through the sublingual membranes. And so those minerals go and electrically, in my opinion, tell the body what to do. And, so you could take the biochemic phosphates, because all the phosphate groups help with phosphate groups are more for nourishing, and like caliphos is for nerve irritations and stuff like that. Or they have the biochemic salt, so all 12 of them mixed in one. And Dr. Jill Krista, for example, with mold, that we did a show with mold. He loves to give people, just to buy the 12 salts. You can order them from my office, and she loves to give people just, hey, do 5 of the one with everyone in it. There's a name for it, and it's not coming to my brain. I hate it when that happens. Can't you tell? Blah, 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 blah. So it is called bioplasma. There, I got it. Whew, I feel so much better that my brain can work if it visually sees what it needs to see. Dang. Do you know what Carrie Reams did say, that forgetfulness is a sign of genius?
I'm on my way.
I'm not genius, people. Let's see. Thank you. Enjoy your mask. Thank you, Diane.
Sure.
Only had one person that said anything about it. You only had one person who had, who really probably so brain. I don't want to go there. Coffee is wonderful. It does not count as water. It is coffee. Water does its own job. Coffee does its own job. Those are 2 different jobs. Yes. Same thing is true of herbal teas. They have their own jobs and do not replace water. The herbs are loaded with flavonoids, and everything is chemical. And I love herbs, people. Look behind us. Did you see Annie's face? I actually enjoyed that herb.
I'm all red faced still.
No, you're not.
Yes, I am. You can't really see it on the, because of the light, but I'm all hot and everything. Jeez.
Marsha, what about cats? And I don't know, because cats are finicky, and I have not tried feeding pet or canine telemetry to a cat. We're putting a lot of collagen in there, and so when you give it to your dogs, what do, Annie? My dog, when I used to give it to my dog, how I figured out it worked, she would sit there and lick that bowl and lick that bowl and lick that bowl, because that collagen was in there, and from her moisture, it would stick a little bit to the bottom, and she would just like, oh my God, I got to get as long as I taste this in there, I am going to lick that bowl. And it was hilarious how long she would lick that bowl clean with this stuff is in there.
Yes,
now, whether a cat would do that or not, I don't know.
Mine do. I have my Samson. I have an outdoor cat, and he comes in and he will lick the dog's bowl for hours. It's his favorite thing to do. Maybe that's why.
So do us a favor. Throw some of that petalometry. Throw let's say an 1/8 of a teaspoon of that petalometry or canine telemetry on your cat food and see if he'll eat.
Yep, I will.
Let me know. All right, thank you. Let's see. What do you think about radionics? Radionics is a system of measuring electrical imbalances and a system of identifying. But the interesting thing is radionics connects the tester and using his autonomic nervous system, his electrical well-being into the process of testing. And how it's picking up a positive or just getting a response of measuring electrical fields in the world from anywhere based upon signatures. Let's just say I have an SE5, se-5.com. Can't use it for treating, curing, preventing, or diagnosing, but the information that it provides can be quite interesting. And in reality, hidden in some of the frequencies that have been identified for radionics, there's frequencies to test for ureas. There's frequencies to test pH. There's frequencies to test total dissolved solids and specific gravity or the bricks. There's frequencies to test conductivity. So it's suggested that you could take a urine or saliva test sample, put it on a radionics device, and you're basically dowsing for a set of numbers. What brand of herbals do you recommend? I see behind you. I use several. A lot of those are Herb Farm. Herbal Ed, loved them when I was in school. Wise Woman Herbals, another company that I really like. Probably most of my herbs are from Herb Farm and Wise Woman Herbals. I've used Harem Botanicals. They're really good, but they substituted various species one for another if they didn't have it. And that's something I didn't appreciate because I think the constituents are a little different within the species. And so I don't substitute. If I ask for a specific herb, that's what I want. So I order most of my herbs from Herb Farm and Wise Woman Herbals. Science studying the memory of water have proved, as a side issue, that homeopathy is real. Yeah, it is real. Completely real. When I went into medical school, naturopathic medical school, and talked about homeopathy and learning homeopathy, I thought it was the biggest crud. I'm like, this is stupid. Because, I was a pharmacist by training. The more you dilute something, the stronger it becomes. Bull. Guess what? Observation made me a complete believer. I have seen homeopathy, particularly arnica. I carry arnica. It's in my car. If I go walking or hike, I carry it with me in the event that I twist an ankle or something. Arnica will make you a believer.
I carry it around too.
Yep. Anything to reverse hearing loss in the elderly can be zinc deficiency. You have to improve your energy efficiency. Electrical therapies. Annie liked this morning a violet ray. Doc, you get the weirdest toys. So go read about Tesla and a violet ray. Move your lymphatics. There's a reason that your ears are congested. So you could take a tuning fork and go ding and stick it on your head. And then if you hear it, you want to make sure that you hear it equally out of both ears because the vibration will vibrate the bones in there and you should hear it equally. If one is diminished compared to the other, then that's sensorineural. That's neural degeneration. But if you hear it equally when you put it on your head versus putting it up by your ear, if you're putting it up by your ear, then it's conductivity. It's the ability of the sound waves to get there. So first, clean your ears out or have them cleaned out. If it's where you can't hear it by putting it by your ear as much, but hear it equally if you put it on your head. If you hear one side louder than the other, when you put a tuning fork on top of your head, ding, you put it up there. If one side is louder, then you're having a nerve conductivity or a functional disorder. So then you got to turn around and say, well, maybe some craniosacral work. You definitely have a mineral deficiency. So what I am saying is I have seen people have their hearing improved depending on the degree of severity of what they've had done. Because if you've got scar tissue and you've had, shell shock and exposed to bomb sounds and stuff like that, oh my God, let me tell you what Ted Nugent and Aerosmith did to my hearing. I went to a concert in Bristol, Tennessee when I was 16, and I've never heard the same since. Never. And I would be between here and the computer this close to somebody screaming at the top of my lungs during that concert, and we couldn't hear each other. It was fun then. It's not now. Go to a concert, bring some earplugs just in case. You'll still hear it fine. Will it help decrease dogs scratching themselves? Well, yeah. You're helping collagen. You're helping the liver. That's one of the things I noticed. Like my dog had these dry, patchy sores, and she stunk. She would stink, and you'd bathe her, and 3 days later, you felt like you needed to bathe her again because she would stink. Well, guess what? When we started the canine telemetry, and I was giving it to my dog, guess what? She stopped stinking like that nasty stink. Because you're improving efficiency of her elimination system and she's not pushing things through the skin. So if you improve efficiency of the liver and detoxification, skin conditions clear up on dogs. They respond beautifully. Thank you so much for the great information. I'm glad you think this is great information because I think that I just get a little bit theatrical at times. Not
you. Not at all.
Oh, I'm just making myself comfortable and just going off and talking. Great show. Thank you. Scientists in Italy, France, and Germany have collaborated on their experiments and demonstrated how water carries the memory of what it's exposed to. Oh my God, somebody named Carrie Reams taught that years ago, and that it will go into your body and it will adapt to your electrical frequency. And now scientists is actually suggesting that. I bet you at the end of it, it says, and we need to do more science to make sure this is real. Don't you love National Institutes of Health Studies? Go to the NIH, go to Environmental Health Perspectives. Okay, just look up Environmental Health Perspective in a Google search, and you will find the National Institutes of Health Environmental Health Perspective. And then you go in there, and there's this little search engine. And in that search engine, put the name of any disease that you have or are concerned about, and then cross-reference it with a chemical, like put glyphosate, or put dioxins, or put DDT, these things that we're not supposed to be exposed to anymore since they removed it from our environment in 1972, yet they're still monitoring the levels in Lake Erie.
Yeah, don't eat any fish out of Lake Erie. It'll follow you.
So people, and when you do that, Environmental Health Perspectives shows that these chemicals directly have these influences on disorders. And at the end of it, it says we need to research this more because we get grant money to do more research and keep proving the same thing we've proved 20 times. But yet we need more research because the money needs to flow to our school. So at some point, the National Institutes of Health can influence our government to make decisions that are made for you because that's why it was established. Isn't that exactly what's happening? In this show.
How did Fauci remove his name from the article he published in 2005 on hydroxychloroquine? How and why did that happen? Frustrating.
Gosh.
I don't want to.
What a great world. Let's leave on these wonderful notes. Everybody have a good day. Awesome weekend. I'm glad you enjoyed this.